All right, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Grind. I am here with my very good friend. Actually, he's a mentor, younger than me, but he's a mentor to me in the space of business and entrepreneurship and just the mindset. And so today I had to get him on my podcast today because anytime you're thinking about grinding, I want to make this process easy for a lot of us. And some of it can shift based upon, a mindset. And so I figured I'd get the guy who I go to, the guy I run things by, to share with you. He's got a lot of businesses going on, and I'm going to let him kind of tell you a little bit about himself if he feels free. If not, I'll brag about him. But welcome to Behind the Grind, RaSheem.
Appreciate it.
Is it RaSheem or RaSheem? I know I give you the slang in like RaSheem, but is it RaSheem?
Technically, it's RaSheem, but there's no name like mine out there, so
what does it mean? Does it have a meaning?
It does.
What does it
means
mean?
the compassionate one that follows correct guide.
Really?
Yes.
So all these years I've been knowing you, I didn't know the actual meaning of your name. That's dope, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope. RaSheem Barnett, man. Well, welcome, man. Tell us.
Thank you.
You know, a lot of people may know you. Those of you that are connected to us, you probably you've probably know them a little bit, but there's some that may not. So, what can people know a little bit about you?
Well, I'm really open. I have a family. My wife, Carla, two kids, a son and a daughter, two beautiful children.
No dog?
No, don't make any of those in my life. Nope.
I thought he was about to give us, the two kids, the boy, girl, the dog,
man.
No dog.
No,
Okay, I'm sorry.
That just creates another mouth to feed, another kid to take care of.
I feel you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No dog. Entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I really kind of had it in my blood since I was a kid. My father's an entrepreneur as well. Grandfather, uncle, aunts, right? So I have a lot of family that have been entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
A lot of family blended, a lot of corporate America entrepreneurs, things like that. So I get my entrepreneurship background, I think, through my family.
I feel you. What's unique about you is you're entrepreneur now, always been an entrepreneur like you said, but you've spent some time in corporate America. Like you said, your family, you have a lot of people that are connected in corporate America, so you know about that life too.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So we want to talk a little bit about that today, and we're going to get to some of your businesses, but some people out that may be listening today may be in the corporate space.
Sure.
And so what I find fascinating about you, because a lot of people who jump into entrepreneurship, and I'm just gonna be real with you, probably a lot of people that listen, a lot of us jump into entrepreneurship because it's about the money, right? We tied up, we like, man, I wanna make an extra money, this job ain't paying me everything I need, and so I'm jumping into entrepreneurship. But what I find fascinating about you is you were doing pretty well in corporate America, and you went and did this leap of faith.
Absolutely.
Put all chips in and went into entrepreneurship and is doing well. So talk to us about what caused you to even trigger that, or you know what I mean?
Well, I think the main thing was, even as a kid, I knew I was supposed to be an entrepreneur. Right. But growing up as an 80s baby, one of the things that was always pushed, and it still is to a certain extent, was you're supposed to get done with high school, and you're supposed to go to college, right?
The process,
right? And you're supposed to go get a good job because you have a good college degree and stay there for 20, 30 years, and retire, what have you, right? And
all of us, those of us who were raised in the 80s, we understand. But you're right.
That was the way
that was the layout.
to make a successful living.
That was the layout.
And I don't know. I did all that, right? So I have master's degrees. I have lots of degrees. So I'm not against school or teaching.
Sure.
But I learned a lot being in different levels in corporate America, right? And when I left, I was in higher levels of management at that time. And so you get to see what it really means to the value, I guess you want to say, of people's education. When you think about it, how many people do you know who are at a job right now, but they're not using their degree?
Man, at least people around my age and younger, a lot of people are being underused, or they may be used in that spot, but it's still not related to their education.
Exactly.
Truthfully,
right?
Yeah.
And so, a couple things are at play there. Okay. One, a lot of people because you go to school, college, generally speaking, if you go right after high school, you're 18 years old.
Right.
Okay.
Young, yeah.
So you really don't know yourself.
Yeah.
Especially if you haven't experienced things throughout your teenage years. Right.
That's true.
So you really don't know who you are.
Right.
And that's something key we should probably talk about
Yeah.
later.
Let's do that.
Who you are.
Yeah.
Because that's key in knowing what your destiny looks like.
Got you.
And how to move towards that mark, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is, just going back to the thought of people not using their degree,
Right.
you start to realize that corporations have, for good of their business, processes, procedures, departments, organizations within their corporation.
Right.
And what they've done is created the employee as a commodity. Think about it. Let's take McDonald's.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's created processes and procedures so they can be very profitable. It makes sense from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
But on the other side, as an employee, if you anybody, basically they've made it so that anybody, if you're breathing, you can get plugged into this spot and they can be successful.
Man, that's so interesting. I know you've seen that. I think the movie's called Is it Founders? Or
I think
something?
it's Founders.
Founders, man. That was eye opening to some of us. I know you've always kind of talked about that, and it's like every time RaSheem would say something to me, I kind of like hear it in one ear, and then it takes a movie or somebody else to say something. I'm like, that's what he was talking about. But no, something like that. And I realized he took the process, and scaled that thing.
Absolutely.
You know, and you can go on and talk about that. But yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Correct.
We are getting plugged into spots.
Yes.
And then when the spot changes, you know what I'm saying? Then they rearrange it. You know, like I spent a lot of my career in banking, and for the most part, it was the old traditional, come to the bank, we give you your, you bring your check, we cash it, give this, that, and the other. Yep. Until one day, corporate America came, technology, and corporate America was so sweet about it. They were like, hey, if people are going to come in, if people are going to come to the bank, let's make them come in. Let's shut down the drive-thrus. Make them go to the ATM since they want convenience. But if they're going to come in and see you, you better sell them something. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely.
So the game changed on me, just like that. I'm like, wow, I thought I was just going to be here and service people and tell them about their business. But no, it's a little different. Right. I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent.
That's
one of my trauma experiences.
But you're making my point here really too, is that when you're going to school for the corporation, basically it's telling them that you have the ability to learn something.
That's really what it is,
Right? Mm-hmm. So that's why you can see people with various types of degrees working the same jobs. Mm-hmm. So, and I was having this conversation with somebody else before, especially in today's age, right? Where technology is increased to the point where, you can do anything you want, right? I kind of feel, even after all the education that I have, that education is not bad. So I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm about to say.
Because you got it, right?
Yes.
You got it. What? But is it one master's, two?
Well, I have my undergrad is in electrical engineering, but I also, in undergrad, have a minor in business management.
That's what it was. Okay.
Right.
Yep.
And then I went to grad school, have a master's in electrical and computer engineering.
Okay.
Right. So,
so you're not against schooling?
No. I'm not against school. However, here's the caveat. Okay. I believe in today's age, schooling should be college should be limited to engineering, doctors, lawyers, things that require advanced understanding of certain principles. Gotcha. For example, and I'm comparing this because I have the business management side too, right? Mm-hmm. In the business management side, it was literally read this, can you memorize it, and can you regurgitate it for a test?
Right. And it was a lot of history. So something that worked in the past,
it doesn't necessarily work, right? It's just a theory behind it, right? Yeah. Whereas engineering was, how can you learn how to solve problems?
Let's talk about that. You've being that you're an engineer, you've hit something that I never looked at it from an engineer's perspective. What's the value if you do have go to school for engineering, or what is that mindset that an engineer kind of typically has?
For the engineer, it's great, especially if you. Let's just get back to what I was saying, because it answers your question, really. Sure. So here's what I noticed right away. Okay. In the early engineering courses, in one-on-one courses or whatever, this blew my mind. When our teachers, we were going to take tests, and every teacher almost was like, hey, it's open book, open computer, open whatever. They didn't care.
Wait. In your engineering courses?
Absolutely.
Open book?
Absolutely.
Oh, man. And so that sounds easy. Was it easy?
No, sorry. But here's the thing that he just made it make so much sense for me, right?
Okay.
And this one thing really clicked for me.
Right.
Like I said, for the business management side, it was go read these chapters. Can you memorize this and regurgitate this information? So I'm gonna say this with a grain of salt. I hope that people don't get mad at me, but I want them to understand the principles of what we're trying to say, right?
Right.
If I can memorize something, that doesn't mean I really know it.
That's true.
Right? Can I apply it? Whereas engineering was open book for a couple of reasons. One, they wanted to know you understood. We're going to teach you tools.
Got you. Yep.
Right? Can you use these tools to, one, find the root cause of a problem? And then two, do you know which tool to pick and how to use it so you can solve the problem?
So solving problems.
Right? And the reason why I was open book, because, you know, in engineering, you have so many algorithms and things of that nature that you might utilize.
So what I'm getting at is if you don't know how to use it,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
Ah.
So, but it's open book, open computer, whatever, because
I love that.
It allows you to go find research or understand different complexities that are going on in your problem to say, where's the root cause of it, right? But again, like if you don't know how to use the tool, it doesn't matter. So imagine, even take this down to like trades, right?
Right.
Let's say you call a plumber out to your house.
Okay.
And in his bag, he might have wrenches and things like that, right?
Right.
But then he pulls out a hammer. You're like, wait a minute, what are you about to do?
I know that you ain't supposed to use it.
You understand what I'm saying? But again, it's just a tool. If he doesn't know how to use it,
Right.
it doesn't really matter.
It means nothing.
You see what I'm saying?
got you.
So engineering really taught me how to find problems and use the tools around me
To solve it.
to solve a problem.
Got it.
Right.
So I see you're going somewhere here.
Yep.
So how does that relate to business? How does that relate to entrepreneurship?
So, well, it relates.
That's a lot, right?
Yeah, that's how much time we got.
Well, let's give us a quick note version, right?
So, when you think about it, I think a lot of people make life very complex when it comes to entrepreneurship, and I don't think it's as complex as people make it. But if they don't have the mindset of understanding how to use, let's say tools of the trade, right? Because generally in most curriculums, you're not taught how to use tools, right?
Right.
So understanding tools of the trade, and then knowing or being able to see the problems and knowing the solutions, right? How to create solutions utilizing the tools.
Okay.
So if you understand what the tool does, you know what kind of outcome you can create with the tool.
Right.
Right.
So help me. Like you've done quite a few businesses,
Sure.
Right. So like, what's your mindset like when you decide, hey, I'm gonna invest in this business or I'm gonna do some work over in this business? Like, what are you like? If you can give us some little secrets, like what are you kind of like looking for?
Sure. Well, that kind of opens up a big item. No, but we could talk.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, I think it's not just about investing in business or starting your own, just to do it.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck.
Right.
They're thinking, going back to your original comment about, I need some more money.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to start a business.
Yeah.
And
start
that's
this
cool.
T-shirt business. I'm gonna start this whatever.
And you can make money that way.
You can.
Right. And then you have the other school of thought. So that one school of thought is, I'm going to do it because it makes money. The other school of thought, people will say, don't do something that just makes money. Work in your passion. Okay. And so those two camps, they kind of fight each other with the philosophy. Because one, like say, take Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
He says, don't just go do your passion because your passion may not make money.
Right.
Right. And then the other school of thought says, well, I don't want to be in business just because, because I don't love it.
Right.
And so my approach is, and this is something I'm really working on in getting out to the people, is how do you blend both of those?
Got it.
So once you know who you are, which feeds in your passion. So who you are is not just your passion, but it's your gifts, right? What gifts do you have that match your passion, right?
Yep.
And then
now you're talking my language.
How do you make it bring in income? You see what I mean?
Talking my
so
language.
you mesh those three worlds together.
Right.
So here's an analogy I gave some time before.
Okay.
Because a lot of people will say, well, I don't know how to make money, right? I'm not going to leave my corporate job because, like, where is the money? Right? Well, remember when you was a kid? You remember that wooden cube? It would be hollow, and it had all these shapes on it. and you take the
Wait, hold on, what you talking about? Some of us might not have it, but no, go ahead.
You see most of these, right? So it's a cube, it's wooden, and it's hollow. Like I said, it's hollow.
Okay.
It has all these shapes, so it might have a square.
Oh, you said shapes. Okay, got
right?
you.
A circle.
Got you. Okay, all right.
And it's got an oval on it.
You was explaining the RaSheem. I thought I was missing out on something, but okay, I got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the kid, when they don't know any better,
right,
they take the square peg and they try to push it through this circle hole, and it doesn't fit.
It doesn't
and then they
belong
get frustrated,
there.
right? That's where I believe a lot of people are. They're like, I need to start a business, but they don't even know who they are yet.
Where do I start? And that's key. That's what we talk about here on Behind the Grind, because you're grinding. We have so many people out here grinding, but if you're grinding and you're grinding, like you said, that piece that doesn't fit, you're just constantly frustrating yourself. And so that's the key. Like, how do we get that piece to fit? And you're talking about going inward, right?
Yes.
Inward, understanding who you are, right?
Yes.
Is that what I'm getting at?
Absolutely.
And then being able to really apply that and really flourish in whatever entrepreneurial endeavor you do or whatever mission you do.
Yes.
Then you understand who you are. Now you can operate that way.
Absolutely.
Give us a little more detail about that.
I can do that. Sure. So, and I'm gonna continue
Oh,
that
I'm
example.
sorry.
No. I'm gonna use that, but continue that example. So, as this baby who doesn't know its shapes, gets frustrated, and that's where a lot of people are, right?
Yep.
And so, I believe again, going back to meshing this piece, right? If you could, this is an exercise I give a lot of people to do.
Okay.
And it really helps them.
Okay.
So if you could write a list, you need 3 columns.
Okay.
First column is write down all the gifts you have, all the talents you have.
Okay.
Whether you like them or not.
Just comes easy to
Just
you.
write it down.
Yep.
Things that come easy to you.
Yep.
Again, whether you like them or not, just write them down.
Yeah.
Second column is what are the things you're passionate about.
Okay.
Right?
So I have space for that.
So yeah, and those could be things that you're good at or not.
Okay.
You see how those blend, right?
So let me just make sure I understand this correctly. Like, I have passion about singing, right? But I can't sing.
Write
Can
it
I
down.
put that in there?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the point I just want to get all of the content out.
I got you. Okay.
Empty yourself out on this page.
Got you.
And the third column are things that you hate to see misused.
I see where you're going. Yep.
So what you find is there's going to be a handful of things that are on all 3 lists. Things you're good at and you're passionate about, but you're so passionate that when you see it missing in other people's lives, it bothers you, it frustrates, it fuels you.
That's the fuel. Yep.
Right? That is where you should go into business.
Okay.
And the ancillary businesses are, because there's going to be a handful of things there, right?
Right.
So find the one that's going to be most productive for you, where you have your best talent, you're most passionate about, yada, 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 right?
Right.
And it frustrates you the most. That's the business you need to start.
Wow, that's deep. I love that.
Right.
So you sit down with a lot of business owners, and I know a lot of that's why I call you the guru, right? Because a lot of people flock to you when we're stuck in business. We might hear other people, but for some reason we're attracted to you, right? It's like, RaSheem, can you tell me? It may be as simple as, how do I fill out the paperwork for my business, or something more extreme, like I have this successful business. How do I scale it? How do I make it better? And so I find you in a lot of spaces like more like a coach or a person that really helps other business. Is that like a passion of yours?
That is. And that's something that I've created.
You're not out here asking people to come.
No.
And they're just like drawn to you. Like,
no.
But no, I'm sorry.
But I think that's part of my gift.
Yeah.
Right? Let's speak on that. I did that for myself.
Okay.
Right? This is how I came upon this, right?
Yeah.
So, and this was something that was just like God delivered to me just on an instant.
Got you.
So I wrote down like, I love helping people. I'm very good at helping people.
So that was on your list.
Understand a lot of concepts.
So I'm good at it on the list. Yep.
And then it really frustrated me when I saw, you can sometimes you see somebody, you can see the potential in them, and they're either not using it, or they don't even know,
or they're trying to put it in
they're not even,
spot that it don't belong.
Yes, absolutely, because they don't know who they are, right? And so from that, I created the Kingdom Network.
Got you.
That is a consulting company that works with entrepreneurs that want to get their business started or grow it, what have you, right? And generally, we work in one of 3 different ways.
Okay.
Either they consult with me one time to get them, they just need a kickstart.
Right.
Or they say, hey, we want to keep you on a retainer.
Okay.
Type thing where we can just, pick your brain from
Provide
time to time.
Consultation from time to time, right?
Right. And then the third way is every once in a while you run into somebody who has great skill or talent.
Right.
And they know they need somebody like me
to help,
but they don't want to learn that part themselves either, right? They say, hey, can you be a partner with me in here?
And that happens a lot because there are people that are talented, let's just say, I don't know. It could be in lawn care or something.
Whatever.
Right? Know how I can lay your grass out, make it sweet.
Yep.
But when it comes to some other things, I just
it may
don't
not
know
be
how-
efficient for them, right? They might be like,
right.
I need to get this going, and I know you can help me, right?
What would you say to somebody like that? Because, we're in a day and time where everybody feels like they have to own it all, but this may be a part of them that, you know what I mean, that they may need some help for at least some time. Like,
Sure.
What would you say to a person that's like that? Like, I'm good at cutting grass. I'm good at laying it out. My customers love me, but sometimes I'm missing this and my payments are behind or this, that. What would you say to them?
So I would say you need to look inside yourself first.
Okay.
And understand, are the things that you're lacking, are they something that can be efficiently learned?
Got it.
Right? Do
That's
you have the
good.
capacity
That's good.
to learn them, not just from a mental capacity, but the time frame and things
Right.
of that nature, right?
Right.
And then look at, from a time standpoint,
Sure.
even if you have the capacity to learn it,
Right.
is it worth your time?
What do you mean by that?
So a lot of times people jump into business like you started saying, like,
Yeah.
I need to make all this money.
Right.
And so they get stuck into a selfish mentality
Yeah.
because they think money is scarce,
Talk about it.
right?
Say that again.
They think money is scarce.
Okay.
Right? And it just may be scarce in your world for the moment, right? But you have to open up and see. There's trillions of dollars being matriculated through the world at any given moment.
Man, I
money
know
is,
this.
There's more money out here than we have need of, right? So it's not scarce at all.
It's not at all, man. And I just real quick, I just like working in the bank taught me that. It's like
Absolutely.
there's so many people you sit down with, and they would, especially from a small business perspective, there'll be small business owners that would come, and you would think I would never want to do a business because they were so mindset of I got to get this money, and their mindset was just kind of prohibited. And then there would be others that looked at it like, hey, I can make more money. I can get, if this doesn't work out, I don't know. How do you become that type of person? Because I saw them being more successful in the bank. Those clients that were more able to see business as a way to, you know what I mean?
So that's kind of a good segue back to what I was saying about the cube example, the kid with the cube, right?
Yep.
So we talked about the first half of the kid not understanding who they are,
Right.
But then once the kid starts to understand, oh, this circle goes in the circle hole, right? And they have sense of accomplishment and they get happy about what they're doing.
Right.
But the key part about that is they knew who they were so they could see where they fit. When you know who you are,
Simple. I love
your
that.
gifts, your passions, and the things you want to fix because you hate seeing it missing in the world, right? You can see opportunity. Literally and figuratively.
It's almost like God just shines the light on it, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Wow.
So you can, like, for example, I know who I am.
That's awesome.
Right? On my way back home today, I could drive down the street and see missing piece. I can see opportunity and go, they need me right there. Wow. But I only know that because I know who I am.
Yeah.
So I know where I fit.
That's awesome.
You understand what I'm saying?
I got you. It's just recently that I've been able to get that because, growing up, you might have a different experience than me, but growing up, and this is no shade on how I grew up, it's just how I grew up. Growing up in a blue collar type of world where, you go in, I saw my dad go in, work overtime, the money would come with overtime. But obviously those type of jobs don't exist as abundance. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So how does a person like myself, that has that mind, if I just go in and work, money will just show up? Like, how do I?
So, well, let's talk about that too, right?
Yeah.
So, think about what example you just gave, where your dad would go in and work, because he had a purpose too.
Yeah,
His
he had a
purpose
purpose.
was,
No, he would-
I needed to provide for my family.
Exactly.
And at that time, it was tougher to jump out and do your own thing. You had to have money. You had to know
Right.
people. You had to all of these
Capital,
things.
all
right?
that, yep.
And I think what has really transitioned that, especially since 2005, 10 time frame,
You're right.
is the use of technology.
Technology
the
has
internet
changed the game.
specifically,
Yep,
right?
yep.
And changed the game so much that I think, and it was so subtle, I think people take it for granted. I look at it, I see the internet as a major economic boom. Right? So if you think back in history, you can look at when the use of steam came about in the world.
Okay.
It was economic changes that happened, right? The use of steel, the use of electricity. These are major milestones in history, world history, that changed the economic scope across the globe.
Got you.
The internet came about and people were like, oh, it's just the internet.
Right.
But what did the internet do? Think about, like you said, you talked about you wanted to be a singer, right?
Yeah.
So let's use that as an example.
Okay. I might have a shot.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Listen. Back in the day, if you were a singer,
this is true. I get where you're going.
There was a third party company you had to go through
every time.
Somebody had distribute. Whether I don't want to name somebody, but
sure.
Just for example, Sony Records, right?
Yep.
They had the studio. They had everything they need plus distribution.
Yep.
That was the key part because you can go to any studio, right? But they had distribution, and they were the stopgap, if you will.
You couldn't go no further unless
and somebody vetted you.
Yeah.
And think about this. Think about how many albums you heard. You're like, man, they can't really sing. And you knew my cousin can really blow.
Needs to have an album,
but they can't get an album, right? So
Right.
there was other things that was other things in the world, society, that would just slow you down.
Right.
Now with the internet, you can be whoever you want to be. Right?
Yep.
You have your own distribution. Think about how many social media platforms there are, or podcast platforms, or music platforms. Distribution's in your hands.
And no longer in the hands of someone else.
No longer in the hands of a third party.
Wow.
So you can make your own market. So the market will tell you if you're good or not.
And that's that. Now, so somebody might look at that as, well, no, we need to have it this way. But you're saying that if you are that talented person, right, it's going to get discovered. It's going to. Is that what I'm getting at?
What I'm saying, the opportunity
is there.
Is so much greater than it was before, right?
Yeah.
Think about this. One, if I was a singer, I can't sing if my life depended on it, right? But let's say I was, and I was a songwriter or something.
Right.
Man, I'd be trying to put out a song every day. Right?
Yep.
Because somebody's going to hear it, right? It's just a numbers game at that point, right?
More people, right? Because you have access.
Or even the more songs out there, right?
Yeah.
So it's more content that people can see and hear of me, right?
Yep.
Of access. Now people are reaching out to me, hey, can you do blah, 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 right? So that's a
wow.
It's a way to think right there.
Whereas 20 years ago, you had no shot at that.
No, because there was no way to distribute it because everything was hard media.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah, it was a tape or a CD or
Right.
DVD, whatever it was.
Right.
Right? So now everything's streamed to people's phones,
Right.
TVs, streamed through your radio. You know what I mean? It's there.
It's all there for you to do it.
Absolutely.
So back to the business side of things, entrepreneur, and I don't know if we may have talked about this a little bit. I don't know if it was the conversation we had earlier today. Back to that. So again, let's go back to that. You were corporate America, right? I mean, for the most part, doing good, doing well. Let's just say you were doing nice, right?
I was all right.
You was all right, right?
I was successful to the outside world.
Yeah, and that's where I'm going. So on the you still were successful. We'll still say that. But on the outside world, the checks are good. Yes. They come in whenever they come in, and they were nice checks to take care of your family, all that good stuff, right?
Sure.
But at some point, you came to a place where you said, hey, I'm going to full-fledged do the entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
There are people probably listening that are kind of like that too. They're doing really well in their corporate America job. Everything is great. But they have, maybe they were raised like us where, you need to stay with this job for so long. The job is treating you right, but something in them or something around them or just the environment, something is telling them that they need to plug in and do entrepreneurship. What would you say to that person?
I would say, first, make sure you know who you are.
Okay.
We talked about
That's
before.
key.
Right?
Don't do nothing without starting there.
Because once you know, like I said, once you know that, you can see opportunity.
Got you.
Right? Mm-hmm. And then two, one of the major things I see lacking, because I talk to a lot of people that are there, right?
Yep.
And the question they ask themselves, well, how am I going to make money?
That's the first question.
Yeah, it's like they have an idea or something they really want to do, they're passionate about.
Salary back up,
but they're like, how do I make this money? And so there's a couple things that I think is key in that. One, you have to realize that you're more valuable
talk about it.
than what the job pays you.
Talk about that.
And I say that they know that subconsciously because obviously they're like, well, I need to be paid more.
Right.
The fact that you say that, you know that you're more valuable than what you're being paid.
Exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm. But people struggle because, again, what businesses have done very well is create these processes, right? They create the environment that's already there. So you just come in and be.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you've been in that environment so long, sometimes it wears on your mind and you don't see your value because you haven't used your value.
Okay.
You follow?
I got you.
Now, the other thing you have to keep in mind, what business is going to hold on to employees if they can't pay them? No one, right? No business is the purpose of a business 101, right? Economics 101 is to create profit for the shareholders. Period. At the end.
Let's get right to it.
So if you're not making, if your this employee A is not making money for us, right? Then they lay people off.
They do,
right? Now think about this. Most people look at the money as just their salary. But when you get into business, it's more than that. Your total compensation is significantly more than just your salary, right?
What do you mean by that?
So your total compensation includes healthcare insurance, maybe a life insurance package, eye care insurance, whatever, 401k, maybe a matching or something of that nature, right?
Yep.
Sometimes you might have bonus structure, right? Car allowances, all of those things. That's your total compensation package, right? And not only that, as an employee, the taxes that are taken out of your check are only half of it. The employer has to come up with the other half.
Okay.
So when you think about that and add that up, you realize there is more money out there. If they can pay you, then it actually exists.
Wow.
Right?
Right.
Because otherwise you wouldn't have the job.
Right. Right.
And they're not just breaking even with you.
Right.
They're making money on you. So you add that up. How much money are they making on you, right? So that tells you there's enough money out there. So when you think about this now, as the business owner that's going to go jump out and do this, you don't actually need all of that money to actually equate to what you were taking home.
Got you. I see what you're saying.
You see what I mean? But I believe that there's more money out there for you. Because if they can make it, you can make it.
And that goes to a point, you were talking to me, I think it was this past Sunday, the New Year's, and we were talking about being a producer versus a consumer, right?
Yes.
A lot of us, we don't realize it, but a lot of us are in a state of consuming, right? We're consuming knowledge. We're just consuming things.
Yes.
But sometimes we may have to pause and look at what's inside, going back to what's inside of us, right? You can explain this a little bit better, but there's so many things inside of you that you can actually produce.
Yes.
You know where I'm going with that?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I see there's way too much consumption going on in the world. So you're right on that. But again, going back to the gifts and talents and knowing who you are, that's the easiest way to become a producer, right? And here's the other thing, man.
Okay.
I really want to touch on because it ties all of this in together, right?
You.
The tough part is, going back to what we were taught societally, right? Is you go to high school, come out, go to college, get a degree, go to work, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
But then what happens is, one, we didn't know who we were, so we probably went and got the wrong degree anyway.
Most likely.
Maybe, right? Or we're in a job and we're not using the degree. Even if we knew what we were supposed to do, we're not using that degree.
Right.
So we're making money,
right?
But we're ultimately not happy.
Right.
And really, the happiness is not about the money. It's really about what's in here, what God put inside of you. You know you're not walking out that purpose.
And that's what's frustrating.
That's really subconsciously happening that frustrates you, right? So here's what happens. I'm going to give you the cycle.
Come on now.
So we go to work. We're making good money.
By the way, he's a preacher, but go ahead. Preach on, brother. I'm going to lay the money down in a minute. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
So we go to work. We're making this good money. We have this feeling inside that, and this is where people get depressed. They lean to alcohol. They lean to all type of other things, right? Yeah. Or you go say, I need something to do. So you go find a hobby, right? Which is cool.
That's good.
You'll find a hobby, something to do.
Get away.
And so what happens is hobbies cost money.
They do.
Right?
Golfing.
Whatever. It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, it costs money.
It costs money.
Go ahead.
Even if it's a light hobby. Let's say you want to go swimming every week or whatever. You got to pay a YMCA. You got to pay somebody, right? So it costs money for have a hobby. So then you have to say, okay, I got my living expenses, and so I got X amount of money to use on my hobby, right? So you take this extra money you got and go get your hobby. But then you really love doing what you're doing, right? And so that gets more expensive. So to give you an example, we had motorcycles, right?
You be saying you?
Yeah, me and my wife. But we sold them now, but back in the day we had motorcycles,
Your
right?
wife got rid of her?
Yeah, man.
You let her.
Everybody's on their cell phone driving. It's dangerous now.
Okay, we'll get back to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take your motors. Go ahead.
So, but it got very expensive, right?
Gotcha.
Leather's expensive. Everything just got expensive. So what does that mean? You need more disposable cash. Yeah. Right?
Yep.
So now so what happens is people go, I need more money. So they go to their boss and say, I need a promotion. Yeah. And the boss says, well, I need more productivity to give you the promotion.
Got to justify this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes sense to you. You're like, hey, if I'm not producing more, I can't get more, right?
Got it.
So then you start spending more time there, more effort, wearing yourself down, right? To get the more money. So now instead of an 8-hour day, you're doing 10, 12-hour days or whatever. because you want to get the money
Yep.
to go feed your hobby.
Yep.
But when you get home,
You're too
you're too tired to do your
even
hobby.
do that.
Or what happens is now you spent the money in the hobby. And so the
you
hobby
talking
is
good,
pulled in
man.
more of your income.
Yep.
So it becomes an expense to you,
Yep.
right? And so now, in order to maintain your living, you're continuously going in this circle of now I got to get a bigger raise because I need extra money because for
just
whatever.
constantly,
So
yeah.
you get stuck in this circle,
Yeah.
right? Which is why it was so important that I said to you, understand your gifts, your talents, things of that nature, your passion. Because if you think about it, the hobby is your passion. So if you can find a way to blend your hobby and your gifts together, you can actually do that as your business, and it just your life
And it works together.
flows very well,
Gotcha.
right? That's
And so that's the state, moving from corporate America to entrepreneurship is really
Yes.
being able to understand yourself and understand those things for them to work together. Well, we're almost out of time here, but I do want to talk about a few things that you're doing to help people. You got a lot of things on the hopper, and I know we can't talk about them all, to be honest with you. But there's some highlights that you've got going on that, like I said, I know you got people that are attracted to you about business. You may have some things for people for that, and just in general, there may be some people that have some other things that you can provide. What are some things that you're working on right now that can help some people that you can provide?
one of the major things I'm working on right now is an online course.
Okay.
For those people who want to start a business and they don't start a business and or grow their business.
Okay. So either I'm starting a business or I'm in a business, and I'm looking to
get some growth.
sale.
Yes. And you either don't know where to start.
Okay.
You don't know what you don't know.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. That's real.
And supply people with that information.
Okay.
So, and what I mean by that is this course is not just high level, like, oh, go get this, go get that, go get that.
Good. Okay.
But we're actually going to hand hold you.
Okay. Nice.
Right? Kind of remove every excuse too, right?
Nice.
So as opposed to me, for example,
Okay.
As opposed to me saying, you want to start your business,
Right.
you need to go get, either articles or incorporate, somehow incorporate your business, whatever.
Right.
Go get an EIN, go get a business bank account.
Right.
That's just the high level.
Yeah.
You can get that, you can search that, right?
Right.
But a lot of people searching YouTube, Google, and there's content there, but it's either got a lot of fluff tied into it, or it's out of order. So you have to spend time
trying to
find and piece it all together, and or you just don't know what you don't know.
That's true.
So you don't even know what to look for.
Or you
right?
find out later after, man, I was supposed to file X, Y, and Z,
Yes,
or I was
absolutely.
supposed to keep what for taxes?
Yeah, right. So this is actually, when I say hand-holding, step one.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about what type of business entities, and then which type you should choose based on what you're doing.
Okay.
And walk you through that. And then once you figure that out, we're going to go, okay,
I love it.
Here's the paperwork you use. Here's the websites at every state that you go get this paperwork.
I love it.
Right?
Yep.
Now that you've done that, let's go to, you need an EIN. Okay, let's go to IRS. And we'll literally walk you through it. So you can just follow the steps.
Right.
Right?
Oh, so it gives you all of that.
Oh, absolutely.
What if I'm a person that kind of got that?
Sure.
Because I get a lot of people when I was working at the bank, they had all the paperwork and everything,
but
still they couldn't get that business off the ground. What else?
So that's just one sliver of it, right? The core of it really is the technical aspect of that, as well as the purpose-driven life, right? And I don't mean the book, but the some of the principles that we discussed today. Those will be broken down. So that those two together are the core course. Because yes, you could technically go figure it out yourself and get all that stuff and say I got. But if you don't know who you are, you'll never get moving. Or you'll get moving and get frustrated because you'll hit a lot of roadblocks. Because again, you don't know who you are.
So what I'm hearing with these courses, it sounds like if I'm a person that's looking to get into it, what it sounds like is going to help alleviate some of that extra unnecessary, I don't know what you call it, frustration per se, of trying to get everything launched, where I can concentrate really on what it is that I'm going to deliver to the marketplace, as opposed to really spending a lot of time doing all this research. Because some of us, we can spend a lot of time researching, and some of you know who you are. You spent a lot of time researching, got the plan, got the business plan. You did all the, but you still ain't launched anything, or you still haven't
because you wore out.
You wore out,
trying to
or you
it out.
haven't made a profit like you wanted to.
Yes.
So we want to get you more into the place. It sounds like of making a profit, right?
Yes.
But not so much a profit there, but also profit
internally
inside.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because that. I focus on behind the grind, and I'm really not talking about grinding where it makes it hard. I really want to get it to people's head that, and I said people's head, but people's spirit per se, or whatever.
Yes.
That it should be a place where it gets to a place where it becomes who you are, It's passion. You know, you can flow in it. It shouldn't be this hard. Now, I'm not going to say you're not going to have.
Oh, there's ups and downs all the time.
You're going to have some ups and downs. You're going to have some moments where you do have to push and grind it out.
Absolutely.
Per se. But it should get to a place where you know how to work it. Kind of like how you sitting over here, man.
Absolutely. Like anything, what in life doesn't have its ups and downs.
Sure.
Everything has its ups and downs, right? But again, I got to harp on it again. Knowing who you are is a key piece to that, because you can see the opportunity and you know where you can fit in that opportunity. The other thing it does, it helps create balance, right? I know, especially like if you have a spouse or something, one of the things that comes about is, oh, you work too much or blah, 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 right?
That's good.
So balance, a lot of people look at balance as I'm only going to work X amount of hours a day, and then I'm going to have my family time or whatever. So they make rules around that. So I think it's a good idea to make some rules, but I think they have the rules in the wrong places.
That's good.
Right? So because, like, again, when you know who you are and you're actually walking in your purpose, your business is your hobby as well.
Yeah. And I like what you just brought up, and I'm not to get you way off topic, but it sounds like even like you're in a marriage and you're in couples and partnerships, I've seen people who have been very successful over here in their business per se, but this area over here lacks because there's not balance. I don't know what you want to call it, but there's no harmony or rhythm that works it together. You know what I mean? Because now your spouse is like, you're spending all the time on the phone, whatever it is that they're complaining about. I don't know, but the business is well.
Absolutely. So there's those that might be for another because there's a lot of information there. But to hit on a couple points though, like so there should be. You should set aside, make sure that whatever you're doing in that moment, you're in that moment.
That's good. Okay.
Right. Like, and that's something I had to learn early on too, right? Because I was driven.
Always been driven.
Yeah. And I needed to make sure though that. There was been times I come home and my wife's like, "Where are you? You're not even physically here." But I was just thinking about
you're still moving to the next thing.
Yes, right. Yep. And this was really during that time when I was trying to transition out of my corporate job to get into what I was doing.
I got you.
And it wasn't until I truly found all of who I was that it made it easier to start walking those things out.
That's good.
Which then created the balance, because when it's time to play with the kids, when it's time to have time with the wife, when it was time, I'm 100% there.
You're there.
You follow what I'm saying? Because you can physically be there, but mentally be gone, spaced out.
Checked out. Working on, I got to get this done. I got to get that done. And
So now, because I can give you 100% of me for that time period.
You're a better father.
Better husband.
Better friend. Better son.
Everything, right? But then not only that, in those times in business when it's like, hey, babe, this next week, it's going to be, I need to spend X more time.
Sure.
It's much more palatable for her to go, do your thing. Because I understand, you know what I mean? So, that's
you know what, we're going to have to come. I would love to come back just to even just talk about that. That's a whole nother piece. So, but I hope for the most part, how do we go about going back to your course? How do we go about connecting to that if someone wants to connect to that? And then how can we follow you? How can we get in contact? If you may not even be out there like that. So some of the people we bring in, they like, hey, here's my handle. Here's my handle. RaSheem might not be like that. So you provide what you provide.
Well, a couple things. I'll do that too. But to add on to the course, just so that people know it's not just about getting you started. There will be many courses that will be added on as well for marketing. How do I market my business?
That's good.
Taxes and accounting, right? Because we also have a marketing firm and a tax firm as well.
Okay.
Wow. How do I build my credit?
Tax firm.
Right.
I'm going to have to make a note of that.
How do I build my credit, right?
That's important for business.
What technologies can I use to automate my company, right? So there's a lot of mini courses that will be going on with that. So we're actually creating a master course. Which includes all of it. Right? And it'll grow as time goes by. The core principles are getting your business started and who are you, right? The purpose-driven part. And then there's some people that may say, I already know that, I got my business started, but I might only need the marketing and the technology or whatever. So those courses
piecemeal it if they need to.
Smaller courses they can take. But the overall master course is called Prosperous Life.
I love it. I like that title. Okay.
And we're going to touch on some other things, again, like we talked about balance, things like that, time management, stuff that's really important, that's really not taught, right? But it's things I've learned and experienced over life. So if you can, go to Facebook. There's a page for Prosperous Life.
So a Facebook group? Or?
There's both, right? So there's three.
Oh,
you ready for this?
Okay.
So there's a Prosperous Life Facebook page. So you can go like that.
And it's just how it sounds. Prosperous Life, no special letters?
Prosperous Life.
Okay.
Then there is a Prosperous Life Facebook group, which is a free community.
Nice.
So go join that community.
Okay.
Right? And when you join that community,
Go do that. Go do that.
that's where you can meet with other entrepreneurs, things of that nature. It's a free community.
I love it.
Now,
I love that.
the third community
Okay.
is going to be a private community reserved for those who sign up for the course.
Makes sense.
Right?
Makes sense. Makes
So
sense.
there's a community there where they can get
more high
in-depth,
level,
advanced
we can
information from
really
me.
concentrate on their
right,
business a little bit more.
absolutely. That's the area where you can get counseling from me in different areas where we
Love
can
it.
ask questions about your business. Right,
Love it.
you have other entrepreneurs that's within there that are give you feedback, things of that nature.
That
right?
are doing some of the things you need
absolutely,
to do.
absolutely.
Love it.
So
I'll try to include that in the notes somehow
Absolutely,
as
sure.
well for people to connect, because I think that's brilliant. I think we're in a day and time where people just don't have time to go and sit in a classroom and get all this information. They can
well, they don't teach you this in the classroom,
and they
either.
don't teach. Well, there are people putting out seminars.
Wait,
I'm not,
yeah,
you're right in
seminar.
the class.
But that's where we're going back to college early on, right?
Yeah. Right. They're not teaching.
They're not teaching.
They're not
this.
teaching you that. But in this route, you can go and you can kind of somewhat at your own pace. But
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
the most part, you can get the information that you need. So,
Yep.
man, it was a pleasure, man, talking to you, man. This is just what we do. We get together. I sometimes go to your office and we just talk. And this is an opportunity. Now with the podcast, we just record this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? That's all we did today. But it was a pleasure. I mean,
Appreciate you,
RaSheem
man.
is a faith-based brother. He believes. He's stepping out in faith in a lot of things that he do. And I just seen the hand of God on his life when he touches different things and the people that he's helped. So many people that he's helped in businesses. So had to have him on the show today. And so I hope it was beneficial. This conversation was beneficial in some shape or form. To go out, connect to the group. For the most part, follow him in some shape or form. Is there anything else you want to leave us with before we get out of here?
No,
All right. Well, we'll bring it back. It was a pleasure. Thank you for coming to my studio, Behind the Grind Studios. But to the next time, we're going to keep it this way. So to the next time, this is Behind the Grind.